And tonight, I could pretty much title this What Happened to America and How to Fix It. And to discuss those issues with me, we will in a little while bring Mr. Gianluca Zanna on. But for the moment, a line in the sand has been drawn, and I want to share this song for you because I think it is a song for the moment.
If you love wealth better than liberty, the tranquility of servitude than the animated contest of freedom, go from us in peace. We ask not your counsels or arms. Crouch down and lick the hands which feed you. May your chains sit lightly upon you, and may posterity forget that you were our countrymen. The line in the sand, you know the time is coming. The line in the sand, are you going to watch while we're fighting? The line in the sand, just tell me now where you're going to stand. How much more you're gonna take it? How much more you're gonna fake it? Now you decide what you'll do when they come. They'll come for you. Seconds before midnight.
And that's Line in the Sand, which was written, produced, composed by tonight's guest, Mr. Luca Zanna. Good evening, Luca. Are you on the phone, pal?
Hi, Frank. I'm here. How are you?
I'm doing good. You know, I heard over Facebook that you were ill tonight, and of course I asked the question when I called recently, and in fact you're having a bad one, aren't you?
It's all right. You know, it's, I think it's part of the season, but I think worse things can happen in life, especially in these days. I'm still okay.
Absolutely. Look, I love that song, Line in the Sand. It's a very timely song. What was your inspiration for that?
Inspiration is what's going on right now and visualize things that are going to happen, and they're already happening. And it's sad because I wish I had other visions, but lately what I see and we're going to face as Americans is going to be a period of, let's say, darkness before it's going to get better. I believe at the end we will get it. We will fix the problem, but we will face first, unfortunately, worse times, and we have to be strong. More important, we have to believe in each other. And if you believe in God, I think God will be our final help. But at the same time, we need to understand that we must count on each other, and we need to start to unite as Americans.
Absolutely so. There's an old saying, God will help you if you help yourself, and I very much believe that everything you have said is very true. You know, the first time I ever heard of you, I was in Mojave, California. That's a little town out there. And I was at work, and I like to listen to the George Putnam show, George Putnam, who's now deceased. And I heard this fella call in with his accent, and sometimes he'd call in and play the guitar. And George really loved this guy. This guy's name was Luca Zanna, Gianluca Zanna. And he was going to become a citizen of the United States. He got his citizenship. It was announced. George really loved Gianluca Zanna. And then I finally met you. I believe, Luke, I met you at a rally. Did I meet you at a rally in California?
Yes, I think we were also at the Baldwin Park. Don't you remember that?
Yes, sir. I remember that. You had long hair then, didn't you?
Yes, I had long hair, and beautiful memories. Even, of course, there were weird times, and bless the soul of George Putnam was one of the first people that really woke me up, even before I was an American yet. You know, when I was in California, I immediately, almost after a few months, I was already on U.S. soil, just going around and looking around and trying to understand what could have become my new country, because I was always wanting to become an American, but I didn't know if I really had a chance. I understood right then in California, just walking the streets of different parts of Los Angeles, that this country was under grave danger. And the point was, try to understand the problem with illegal immigration. That was really what woke me up at the beginning. But then I realized that it was just the tip of the iceberg, because illegal immigration is not the final goal. It is just like the pawns, moving the pawns to create the critical mass number that the globalists need to destroy this republic. And that's what...
Without a doubt, a lot has happened. Now, going back to Baldwin Park, that was, I believe, a gathering of Save Our State, California Coalition for Immigration Reform, a number of other groups, many independent men and women who were not members of those groups, who had united to protest against illegal immigration. Baldwin Park was the chosen venue, and there were hordes of illegal aliens and their supporters versus just a few of us. Do you remember that day?
Oh, yeah, it was mythical. I mean, honestly, as much as that day I say, oh my God, I almost, it's normal to have a little bit of fear, because it's make you awake. I realized that, wow, this is great. I mean, I was really having, I thought a moment of life. I was so proud to be with all like-minded people like you and other fellow Americans, or just new immigrants, new Americans like me. The bottom line was more than just against illegal aliens. We were protesting tax dollar that was spent for a public monument, if you will remember, I'm sure, that the monument in Baldwin Park said pretty much things that I think were kind of opinionable, and, we don't need to agree. And I have no problem when somebody has difference of opinion using the private dollars. When they were using public tax dollar, and they were using things they were saying was better before we came, the American people came, I think that point, that's not fair to use public tax dollar to have a political agenda like that. So we were there exercising our First Amendment peacefully, and I think we were no more than 40 of us. Yes. It was a small number. We were surrounded by at least 500-600 of these violent, people were throwing, remember when they were throwing cans and things?
Sure.
It wasn't for the police. They had I don't know how many police, horses and a battalion of police. We would be dead. That's as simple as that.
Oh, they would have killed every single one of us. They would have.
Yeah, seriously. But we were there regardless. I remember the day I think you took a photo. I have a photo still. I was carrying 2 shields with me. We met at the bar before the event, a little restaurant, and I had 1 Roman helmet and 2 Roman shields in my backpack.
I remember that.
Since I cannot carry a gun, that's all I can carry. I brought those.
Yeah.
But it was a great memory. I really enjoyed that, thinking about it. It was a great bonding with all of you guys.
Yes, it was wonderful to meet you in person. I always wondered, well, this guy, Luca, is he a little guy? Or I never imagined you would be as physically impressive as you are. You're a big guy. I took a look and my God, this is a big guy. This isn't a little tiny Italian guy. This is a powerful man. Luca, we did that protest, and as time went by, many other protests were done. And the mainstream media really refused to show that. They refused to show a small number of Americans protesting against illegal immigration, surrounded by hundreds. At some other rallies, I would say it was thousands, some rallies that I went to, literally putting our lives at risk for our country, really. And the mainstream media would not carry it, would not properly comment on it. I never saw it. Did you?
No, and that's part of the plan, because now, I think we all are more educated than probably a few years ago, or at least we start to learn more. Speaking for myself, I learned more. All the mainstream networks, we're talking about the main cables, even newspapers, they're all owned by the same companies. And these companies, they're all controlled by the same huge banks. The bottom line, as I said before, illegal immigration, it is not just the final disease. We need to find out the cure, the cause of this disease, because yes, there is a problem, it's huge. But who's really behind? What are really the goals? They need illegal aliens not just to, destroy our wages, or pretty much to destroy the economic fiber of this country, or to get more votes, like, for example, we know for the Democratic parties. It is deeper than that. To destroy this republic, or at least what is left, they need at least 30 or 40 million new people at the polls, that they have the power to vote us out, and vote not for what used to be a republic, but as you well know, all the last at least 4 presidents, that we tried to brainwash us that we are democracy, spreading democracy. Democracy was never even written in any part of the Bill of Rights or Constitution or Declaration of Independence. Democracy is a very dangerous thing. Our founders hated it, because the democracy means that 51% of the people at the polls can pretty much take whatever rights, whatever property the 49% own or have. So that's what they're trying to do, because pretty much they need still critical mass. And that's why I'm so afraid about getting any type of amnesty, because now they can make legal everybody they want with just an executive order or a piece of paper. And it's not just about legality or the paperwork that the government can give you. It's about to know exactly where you stand, where are your principles. If you are a slave or you are a free man and you want to join other free human beings to defend this republic.
Yeah, it is obvious that there is a plan to do something to change this country in a manner that is not acceptable to the people, to the American people of this country, regardless of whether you have a Republican president, George Bush, or Barack Obama, or even before them. This whole illegal immigration thing, nobody stopped it. Nobody sealed the borders properly. They lied about it. They all did. All these presidents, they're lying to the day. Even 9/11 came around, Luca. And when 9/11 hit, I thought, well, and this was before we hit the Minuteman movement and doing protests and all that. 9/11 came around, and I thought, they're going to have to secure those borders now. And they did not. They left the borders intentionally open. George Bush did. And in time even prosecuted Border Patrol agents like Campion and Ramos, who were just doing their jobs protecting this country. And the word got out, I believe, to all the Border Patrol people, don't mess with the illegal aliens. Let them come in. Keep your job. And there was criminality involved in terms of illegal immigration with the Bush people and George Bush himself. And the same remains with Barack Obama. There are bigger plans of which you spoke of. And the scope of the criminality that's going on now in Washington, I think is beyond the comprehension of the average citizen. The one thing we know is that yes, there are external forces. There's something that's going on. People talk about the New World Order. They talk about the Bilderbergers and all these other people. And Luke, I always come back to one thing. We have people who are accountable. The President of the United States, I don't care who comes up to him with $1 billion and says, "Hey, keep the border open." The fact is that if he does that and he takes the money or whatever it is, the people look at it and say, "Wait a minute, the borders are open. This isn't right. We need to investigate this, and you need to be prosecuted for criminal acts against the American people because women are getting raped, men are losing their jobs." People are getting killed at the hands of illegal aliens. We have Middle Easterners who do not like the United States coming in. It's well known that there is a military presence from Middle Eastern countries who at some point in time may do something terrible here on American soil, claiming the lives of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Americans. And yet this thing goes on despite reason, despite laws. So obviously there is criminality in Washington. I personally, Luca, believe that Congress is mostly composed of criminals at this point in time. There are some good people there, yes, some patriots. And, the House of Representatives, the Senate, the legislative branch, of course, that's what that is. The executive branch, Barack Obama. Even the Supreme Court would not help us out when it came to Obamacare, which, of course, maybe you'll agree that the real deal there is further control of the American people to subjugate them. What do you think on that topic?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the government now is used as a puppet against the American people, okay? Just because the government is passing a law or they're making some, let's say, keeping things illegally doesn't mean that they are legal, doesn't mean that they're right. So, for example, talking about the illegal aliens and the open borders, the point is, yeah, they are the first responsible because it's up to them. They could pass the law. Let's not forget, for people that may think, oh, they say the border cannot be closed, it's impossible. I have one word, or maybe two words, South Korea. I mean, South Korea, we are spending billions of dollars out of our tax dollars to seal a border that not even a rat can go through, okay?
Right.
If you're really serious about stopping the drugs and getting these drug lords out of our country and stopping all these illegal and very dangerous entrances, because if we have no borders, you don't know who's coming to your country, you have a lot of problems. First of all, of course, as you have said, the wages, health problems. We have a national security problem. Everybody knows that. So there is no excuse. We should get all our soldiers, in my opinion, from around the world, starting from South Korea. There is no reason we should pay and keep paying for somebody else national security, and taking care of our north and south border. That would be the first thing. But the problem is this: when people start to understand that, for example, the illegal aliens problem is connected also with the drug problem.
Yes.
And the problem all starts with Washington. But Washington is just the face. It is not the final quarterback. It's just the front line. What we see, all can be bought out, like Supreme Court. I don't care what the Supreme Court says at the end, because at the end of the day, human beings like us, they can get crazy, they can get drunk, they can get on drugs, and they can also get corrupted or can get blackmailed, okay? So we already know that the Supreme Court is corrupted. All you need to conquer a country, you don't need tanks, you don't need the army. You need, how many congressmen do we have? Let's say 300, okay, 151 checks. And some people have no problem with money. Mm-hmm. And they can pretty much buy out everybody like they've been buying out, including presidents, okay? So that's where we are. My point at this point, it's up to us, because I have no more faith in our federal government, besides few exceptions, as you said. Supreme Court is just another puppet in the hands of the banksters and the globalists. And more important now, we need to look at this, that no matter what, I believe that, unfortunately, they will put us in a situation that we need to draw a line in the sand. We heard a couple of days ago, I think, or yesterday, that Mr. Obama, he said, I don't need Congress. I can write my own executive orders without you.
That's exactly what he said, yes.
Yeah, and what you going to do as American? What you going to do? You're going to go back to work and say, okay, everything's fine. I think we need to start to really organize as a free human beings, as a free Americans, because they're coming for us. This is not just about what's happening in Washington. They already have pretty much written it down. Everybody that does not comply with this agenda, you are potential domestic terrorists, starting from our veterans. So we need to start to know each other, maybe sometimes clean our, shape of our differences. Sometimes we don't agree on everything. But as Americans, we need to understand that we're going to face very soon great dangers. And more important, we need to start to team up with our local sheriffs and educate them and trying to vote them the best people that we can at local and state level, because we still have some control there.
Yeah, even as far back as 3 years ago when I was first visiting Wyoming, I would from time to time start talking to the waitresses and the guys that wash dishes and everything in restaurants. And when they would put their wall down a little bit, and let me in, they would tell me that they were afraid. That was 3 years ago. Okay, they would tell me that they think that the government is going to do something against the people. Many of them had plans to go up into nearby mountains to hide out and defend themselves and their families. That was 3 years ago. This is so much worse now, to the nth degree. This that's happening now, I cannot believe what is unfolding before my eyes. We've got a president that, according to a lot of people, nobody knows who he really is. This is real shaky, real shady how this happened. There is a woman by the name of Mia Marie Pope. Have you heard of her?
I think so. Is the lady from Hawaii?
The lady from Hawaii who said that she met Barack Obama when she was a teenager, and that one of the things she noticed about him, number one, he always said that he was a foreign student. His name was Barry Soetoro. That's how she met him. She also says that he was into drugs and would have sex with older men for drugs. And the other thing was, she said that he was an absolute liar, a pathological liar. That if he said to you that the sun was shining outside, you better go out and take a look because it might be raining. And she even had said to him, Barry, why do you lie so much? And stop lying. But that did the trick for me, Luca, because I've been looking at this president, and of course recently he's been lying a lot about his Obamacare, and I see here not a man who's got it all together, but a human being who is very conflicted, who is worthless. I've met a number of pathological liars in my life, and I do believe Barack Obama or Barry Soetoro, wherever his name is, to be one. And he cannot be trusted to do anything, run anything, and somebody has installed this guy as president of the United States against, I don't know, anything that is reasonable. And he is day by day doing horrible things to this country. One of the issues here is legal immigration. While they tell us they've got a war on terror, they're bringing in a lot of people from the Middle East, Somalis, cultures that are incompatible with the United States. Thousands of them. Of late, I hear they're going to be bringing in 30,000 Syrian Muslims into the United States. And they've also brought Somalians and such, and it turns out the cultures are not compatible. It's not good for the American people. This guy is creating such a mess that I would not be surprised if the United States starts breaking out in little civil wars in different parts of this union. What do you think?
I think, unfortunately, this is part of the plan, what they want, because the factor that they're bringing all these different elements that do not want to integrate, okay? This is not about anymore the melting pot we always thought America was supposed to be. This is about balkanization, and they need to divide to conquer. They need to put groups against each other. So to pretty much water down the American people, they need to start to put 20 million or 30 million of illegal aliens from south of the border. If that's not enough, they need to start to bring groups that they want to come here and to impose their religious belief on us, like the Sharia law. And so keep going, because that's the only way they can conquer this country. Because when the American people, they are pretty much have some unity, at least in the core beliefs, I'm talking about language, talking about a Bill of Rights and Constitution, then we can disagree on everything else. But at least we have a unity as a basic, as a nation. If you have people that, like the Mexican Reconquista, that they think that they are a chosen race, they call them the chosen race, La Raza, that, for them everything, and for us nothing, we have a problem. These people don't want to become Americans. They want to just kill us.
Yeah.
Same story. Some people that they believe that Allah is their government, is the state, a theocratic state, religion, theocratic religion like the Muslim. Unfortunately, if you are a good Muslim, if you really follow your book, there is no compatibility with the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. That's the problem, So, but that's part of the plan. They need to balkanize us. That's why I think at this point it's very important that as a neighborhood, as a friends, as family, we join, we unite, we try to try to be better people, because we have a serious problem in front of us and behind us. Behind us is going to be, unfortunately, most of our federal government that is being completely materialized. Sorry, my English tonight is terrible. Come on, help me out, Frank. The police becoming oh my gosh, I'm frightened.
Don't worry about it. I can't bring the word out either. But you're talking about they're going to federalize the local police and such.
I mean, all federalized and all with Homeland Security and all the things that people already know now that are not conspiracy. We're talking about a full army on U.S. soil. The repeal of posse comitatus. We're talking about the National Defense Authorization Act. I mean, they are preparing for war against the American people.
Sure, the Department of Homeland Security. We have one up here in Cody, Wyoming, which is about an hour away from me, and nobody appreciates the presence of the DHS because, we know that that's the federal government's tool to bang us over the head or to keep us in check or something, which I don't think is going to work, at least not in Wyoming. But it is a presence that is not welcome. And of course, when I said that they were going to bring in 30,000 Muslims from Syria as refugees, this town that I'm in, Luca, this is just 1,200 people. So we're talking about 30 times the population of this town almost that they would be bringing in. That is overwhelming. I never want to hear that the federal government has brought a whole bunch of people and dropped them into Wyoming. Most of the time Wyoming has said no, but then they get dropped off in another state and then they start coming in. We already have some of that Muslim presence in the city of Casper, which is a population of almost 60,000. Some of those folks have started showing up and they're going to start their shit up. And I'm very, I haven't made a mistake by saying they're going to start their shit up. I really mean that. I have such anger against Barack Obama. I don't figure this man to be a decent black man. In my home, very candidly, Jane and I refer to him as the nigger in the White House. He's also known as the bastard from Kenya. I'm not apologetic about that. I'm not trying to insult anybody of color. There's a lot of good people of color that I like. And to give somebody an example of that, maybe a person of color, a black person who may be listening, I'll give you George Bush, and I'll give you, Lieutenant Colonel, and now it's my turn, Luke. I forget his name. He's famous. He's a black guy.
Alan West.
Alan West. I would say, here you have George Bush. Here's Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. Who's the nigger? I would say George Bush is the nigger. That's how I use the word. I do not like George Bush. I think he pretty much was the beginning of the end for this country and followed his script, whoever gave him the script, to keep the borders open and to do quite a number of things that made the Republican Party a party that people were angry against. And that helped to make Barack Obama someone that appealed to the population, though I think he was, of course, as you're mentioning, someone that had been prepared for this. He's simply fulfilling his role as any good actor might.
Exactly.
And if he steps outside the bounds, I'm pretty certain that they're going to give him the John Fitzgerald Kennedy treatment. He's going to get shot and he's going to get wheeled out as a slab of meat, because his handlers won't like him stepping outside of bounds.
Listen, everything is possible at this point, and I agree with you. Unfortunately, this is something that it is being planned, and Bush, Obama, they're working for the same director or directors. At the same time, our job is to at least try to expose what we can see right now, because the fact that we have a man sitting in the White House, okay, and we are not even allowed to know his basic background check, the same background check that you must give to, even if you work at McDonald's, for God's sake. I mean, if you work for anybody or any regular job, you should disclose at least the person who wants to hire you. You should have some sort of a background check about you. We don't know anything about this man. All we know that is action, and that's now what everybody should be concerned, at least, because we have a man that right now, if we can see the big picture, when we have militarized, that's the name I was forgetting, police, like the Department of Homeland Security, with 2 billion rounds or more, with 3,000 armored vehicles, completely under direct control of the president. Okay. Then we have an official agreement with FEMA. I don't know if you heard about that. It was from the FEMA website. With the Russian government.
Yes.
Russia will provide troops on U.S. soil
Yes.
in case of an emergency. So
That's
heard
right.
about that.
Yes, I did.
Then we have Chinese
in Hawaii.
troops in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Then Obama is starting unilaterally nuclear disarmament of these countries. Pretty much is putting us in an inferior power force deterrent. The only thing we had as a deterrent, since we don't have much of an army anymore, especially compared to millions and millions of soldiers that the East Bloc or the former East Bloc, like Russia and China or communist country, have combined together. I mean, think about China as 1 billion people, citizens. They can put together 20 million armies if they want to.
Sure.
Okay? Enough to colonize, not just to move to war.
And I frequently wonder, Luca, if Barack Obama, if there's some kind of insurrection or something going on in the United States, yeah. I have no doubt that Barack Obama would call upon UN troops, but also Chinese troops.
Oh, yeah, under the United Nations probably, to make it look more legit. But
yes.
That's exactly the point. It's already on the open. And I don't care about what people think at this point, because the people that are so blind, they don't even deserve our time anymore.
I agree.
This is like I wrote the song, we are 1 minute before midnight. This is the time. And I always believe that the First Amendment try to awake our fellow Americans. It's our first duty. What you're doing tonight with your show, what I'm trying to do with my little radio show on K-Talks, on the internet. But at the same time, we need to also prepare for unfortunate things that we hope are never going to happen, because, even the odds may be against us. It's our duty to defend this country, this republic, and our freedom as a free human beings. Before, even as Americans, I'm a free human being. I'm not going to become a part of, or to be a slave under anybody, global government, or socialist, or communist, or fascist. I don't care. So people need to start to see all these pieces of the puzzle, and then only when they say, oh my God, unfortunately, you need to freak out. Till you don't freak out for a moment, you don't get it.
Yep.
And then you must use this fear in a positive way, in a proactive way, to motivate yourself to get some sort of, say, okay, I need to do something. And you do everything you can according to your possibilities as a human being, because all of us, we have a life and we do our best. But I'm sure there are a lot of things we can do, even as just a regular person in our life, to prepare, to educate, to share information, to also be a better person, because I think this is also a spiritual battle. It's not just a political battle or economical battle that we are facing. It's also a spiritual battle that tries to put us in a situation that we are going to sell our soul, if we don't do something right, to evil. You look what happened. Everything now you believe that, we go along, we don't comply, we stay silent with some immoral and criminal act of a government. I don't care if it is the government, it still can be criminal. Like, for example, when hey, you just kill, for example, 20 million people in an illegal war that wasn't even a war, it wasn't undeclared police action under the United Nations. Not in my name.
I agree. I agree. We need to take a break now. We're going to be sharing with you the sounds of Enigma, and when we come back, we'll pick it right up again with Mr. Luca Zanna. We're coming back with my guest, Gianluca Zanna, and he was talking about the government killing people in his name. What about 9/11, Luca? Do you believe that there was any legitimacy to that, or do you think that was a contrivance on the part of somebody? Was it really something that was formulated, a false flag attack, in order to get it over on the American people?
Well, first of all, I believe in what I see and what my brain connects with logic. I never want to believe what I've been told as a propaganda. Of course, there was the first few weeks there was an emotional factor, and I think myself, like many other Americans, they were under the influence and the spell of the propaganda. Then I finally started to realize one thing. The first thing that really shocked me was W7, the building that was never hit by any type of airplane, and it fell down completely like a complete controlled demolition.
Yes, I noticed that too.
Yeah, so that was the first thing really said, okay, something's wrong here.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, there's so much information out there, and all you have to do is just dig to find yourself. I mean, I can give you other examples. First of all, let's look at history. Operation Northwood. It's a declassified document from CIA.
Yep.
Okay. And if people can do that, print it out, you will see that the type of technology of remote control airplanes were already there on the book during the Kennedy administration. And a general chief of staff at the time was suggesting some such type of attack on U.S. soil in Florida, and to create some sort of public opinion propense to go to war with Cuba at the time. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So it's in the history of this country. It's nothing new. I mean, let's look at the classified also document of Vietnam, the Gulf of Tonkin. It was a planned attack. Okay, really. I mean, there is so much. But focusing on 9/11, we know that there are so many factors that they are proven that they are not what we've been told. Number one. And number two, we need to see also cool bonus. I mean, who benefit out of that? What we got out of this? I mean, look, this republic was already under attack a few presidents ago. But for sure, after 2001, after the Patriot Act, after 9/11, we are living now in a new America.
Absolutely.
In a nightmare, in a police state. We are not safer.
Nope.
The borders are still open. There is still the same thing. Now the only thing, the war is moved to the American people, and finally they have created the hysteria and created the tools to completely dominate us, completely removing the most important tool that was somehow protecting us at the time was a Bill of Rights, a Constitution. I mean, I want just to say one thing, something that sometimes I really can't get over every day. It's called National Defense Authorization Act.
Yes.
Consequence of the Patriot Act. Now we are living in an America that is before any sort of civilization, before pre-Magna Carta. Now the king can throw your butt in jail, in the dungeon, not even in jail, without due process, using the military, without even give you access to a judge, a lawyer, or a trial.
Suspending posse comitatus.
Yeah, and more important, they can throw you in jail indefinitely, and you don't even have to face anymore a due process with a trial. I don't even think in China they do that. I mean, in China, at least they give you a phony trial. This is now something, it's on the open. It's the power of a man, in this case the executive, the president, whoever is with him. He can use the military, and any of us, Frank, me, you, tomorrow, we could be disappeared, and no question asked.
Absolutely.
I don't care now, Democrat, Republican, every human being in this country, every American should say, well, this should be enough to go a revolution. To say, you know what, this is enough to, this is insane. You know, how many of you bastards in Washington, what? A few thousands of you, it's 300 million of us. You better pack your shit and go.
Yes.
Because this is an act of war against American people.
They have declared war against the American people, what these bastards in Washington have done, and there's no way of getting them to acknowledge anything. You know, you sure, talk to your senator, talk to your representative. nothing changes. It remains the same and gets worse.
Well, one thing we can do, I try to also be positive, still working in the system. For example, in the state of Arizona, we have, talking about my state legislators, for example, our state Arizona Senator Kelly Ward. She's the one that, she's educated, she understands what's going on. We help her out to understand better, and she's trying to, for example, pass laws like to stop the National Defense Authorization Act. Of course, we passed the law at the at the Senate level, but Brewer stopped it, to show when people buy him out, And so we did, for example, just today they signed a bill that we reject as a state of Arizona any type of implementation of Agenda 21. So there is hope, I believe, still at the state and local government, county government too. We can educate people, we can talk to people, and more important, we can put pressure on people. Federal government, I think it's almost gone. I don't know if they just drink a dangerous water right there, or there's something that they put in their food. Or maybe they just blackmail everybody, or they brainwash everybody. Something must be going on.
Something is going on there, and I quite agree with you that 10th Amendment states' rights is what needs to be invoked. Nullification needs to be invoked, and if people don't know what those things are, look in your Constitution, look at the 10th Amendment. All powers not given to the federal government reside with the state government, and nullification is a means of, if laws aren't any good, you go through a process and you do away with them, which is what needs to be done on the state level with the NDAA in Wyoming here. We've tried, but we've not gotten cooperation from our legislature, and that's going to become a very hot issue given what the EPA has recently done in Wyoming. This is an unelected group of people, and they've decided to give a whole town over to the Indian nation. Come on, give me a fucking break here. How much of this stuff do I have to put up with from these assholes in Washington who dine and have the best of everything that working Americans can provide, and return our graciousness with thievery, criminal cunning, and treachery that is off the charts these days. So, I also did hear, I'm surprised, or maybe not too surprised, that Jan Brewer would not nullify the NDAA, but I heard that she's putting a militia together out there.
Jan Brewer, in my opinion, she's a phony bitch. Simple as that. She does one thing right and three things the opposite. I'm not saying that she's 100% wrong. She got a couple of things right, as I said, but it's always when it's convenient, always when it's the right photo ops, or the right election or pre-election time. For example, she was one of the most evil. I mean, I have much more, respect for a Democrat that is telling you in your face, I'm going to steal your money
right,
with Obamacare, than her. For example, the reason why now we have the Medicaid expansion, that means also the Obamacare in Arizona, is because of her. It was the pressure that she put on the legislation, a bill that was done in the middle of the night, completely also challenged now also in court, because it was even originated in the Senate, which she just pretty much did herself. I mean, completely wrong. She's the biggest sellout. I believe that as much as she goes around with her finger, that in my opinion she should stick in her ass. No, seriously, she's such an actress, okay? And she goes around when it's the time to show before the election that she's pointing the finger at Mr. Obama. After all, she's a puppet of Obama. She sold us out with the Obamacare, number one. She sold us out with the Common Core, number two. She sold us out to every important thing that we know they could have a chance to stop, because if we don't comply, they cannot force us. Instead, she also pretty much did not pass the vote. We had a great vote to stop the NDA here, and to stop also any federal agency that come to Arizona. They must first check with our local government, with our local police or sheriff. The bill was passed in the Senate, was passed in the House, and of course she vetoed it. So when it comes down to the important things, she's a complete puppet of whatever is in charge in Washington.
Well, thank you for setting that right. That is, I remember discussing this with you when I was out in Arizona one time, and out of the blue, I heard somebody say, Frank, Frank. And I turn around, it's Luca Zanna. That was pretty cool. And you clued me in as to what this woman is all about, in your opinion, and it appears that she is precisely that. Luca, one of the big deals that goes on in the United States is this war on drugs that's been raging for decades now. And I personally believe that the war on drugs is the equivalent of what happened during Prohibition in the United States. It was Prohibition that put together the gangs in the United States to form what's called the mafia, since they were, bootlegging and dealing the black market of selling alcohol when alcohol was outlawed. And eventually alcohol was made legal again. I would not legalize drugs, but I would decriminalize what's going on there. In other words, I would move it to an issue involving the personal responsibility. You take drugs, fine, go burn your brain out, but I'm not going to give you any money because you become a ward of the state. Also, if you're on the road and you're driving under the influence, treat you like somebody who's a drunk. Slam them to the fullest extent of the law. But I believe that the war on drugs has produced more harm, more deaths, and has actually given drugs a boost than if the issue were just decriminalized and left up to the people to do what they want to do. What do you think?
I completely agree with you, because first of all, the war on drugs is the war on freedom, in my opinion. Because the main question is, who owns my body? Me or the government or the collectivist?
Right.
The collective. That's the first thing. Then we need to answer the second question, that, not even the question, the statement is, with freedom comes responsibility. That means I should be able, first of all, if I use my own money, I'm not using any taxpayer dollar, and I am able to handle it. It means I can pay for that product. Could be a plant, or could be whatever I want to use. I should be able, first of all, to be responsible for that. It means like the alcohol. I can drink now a bottle of wine and in my privacy of my home without endangering anybody else. That's my business. And also I pay the consequences tomorrow morning. I cannot go to work, and nobody's going to pay for me. It's my business. It's my responsibility. So I think drugs should be treated like alcohol. That means that you should, first of all, pay for your own drugs, no government intervention there. And number two, you should be responsible and be sure that you do not endanger any others because of whatever use you want to have for the drugs. I also believe that drugs like, for example, marijuana should almost have another class, because after all, it's a plant. It's not even chemical. Okay?
Right.
It's just a plant. But that's why they hate it so much. Because now we're coming back to the same question. Cui bonos? Who benefits out of this war on drugs? First of all, the government, and as a organization of law enforcement, we know very well that the big funds of the special budgets for FBI, DEA, police, billions of dollars, if not trillions, the last 30, 40 years. It's been proven that pretty much that's all it does, create a bigger apparatus of repression. Then there is the private system jail. We know very well that now it's well alive. The jail is supposed to be a function of the government. At least one of the few things should take care is the judicial system. Now instead it's being contracted to private corporations, and let's not forget, nothing wrong with that, but the purpose of the corporation is profit. So when you have a corporation that needs profit, means you need more customers. More customers means more people in jail, so they will lobby for more repressive laws. They will put non-violent offenders, like, for example, a kid that has a little bit of marijuana or whatever, in jail as a felon. Pretty much be part of the system. And more important, what happens with this war on drugs, you create the real money machine, because who launder the drugs? The banks. It's proven. Big banks have been proven and found guilty, all laundering millions and billions of dollars. Then you have a big complicity in Washington that if it wasn't for Washington being leaving open the borders and making this illegal, these drugs would be worth zero. I mean, the moment that the prohibition ended, a bottle of wine was worth a bottle of wine.
Yes.
Wasn't worth crazy prices, because the demand, I mean, it's pretty much what makes the product so expensive, especially when you can find it available at the regular store. So there are so many reasons why this is wrong. I think from a philosophical point of view, if you believe in freedom, I should not be responsible to judge you and to tell you how to live your life. Of course, you should be responsible to not endanger others and pay for your whatever you want to do. That's the number one reason. And number two, it's also to enslave us. Because now, all they need to do to set you up is to throw a couple of buds or something in your car.
You got it.
Your property.
And it has happened over the decades of the war against drugs. Dirty cops have done precisely that, giving those dirty cops a weapon that would and should not exist, in my opinion. Now, you were talking about freedom, and I've been thinking for quite a while now that freedom isn't for everybody. Some people do not function well with freedom. Now, freedom should be the position that every government exists upon. There are some people who do not like freedom. Their lifestyle, they want to be told what to do. I mean, they're there. And I think a great number of those people are the voters that want welfare. And, of course, that's become a big deal. Luca, if I could, one of the things that I would do is I would put some kind of edict that if you're on welfare, you cannot vote, which I know is an impossibility because we're all guaranteed the right to vote. But people who are on welfare, in my opinion, should not be voting. Just reflect upon what happened here in the recent election, if it was even a straight election, because I don't know about the electronic voting process anymore. I don't trust that either. I don't trust what I'm being told by the media. I don't trust anything the government says. But according to this, a whole bunch of people who are on welfare voted for Barack Obama, and their numbers were staggering. What do you say?
I agree completely. I mean, honestly, I go one step deeper. On some issues like, for example, the school districts, you shouldn't vote unless you own properties. Because, I mean, the problem is that people are voting now themselves everything they want. Mm-hmm. And that's why democracy is so dangerous, because we didn't have all these things before. I mean, the republic, they used to have the rights of the individual, and property is part of the rights of the individual. They were always defended. I mean, we can agree and disagree. We can disagree on everything you want. But the point now is no more about disagreement. These people, they want to steal and rob using the government, whatever you have and you work so hard for.
Yeah, they're voting themselves my paycheck or a part of it. And it kills me. It kills me that I worked for so many years, and there's some piece of shit sitting on a porch drinking malt liquor all day long, having fathered maybe 20 babies from different women, getting a welfare check. That whole welfare thing is out of control. I know that there's federal welfare, there's state welfare, there's county welfare, and I would disappear a lot of it and save it just for a few who really might need it. And I would say to these people, I'd say, bitches, go find yourselves a job or go die of hunger. How's that?
I think you're right. I also would say we should have all the opportunity to choose. For example, Social Security, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is an imposition, the first real robbery. We want to talk about imposing and removing freedom from America. That happened way before Obamacare.
Yes.
I mean, Social Security, you have no options. You get robbed out of your paycheck,
absolutely,
part of your money, without even asking your permission.
Mm-hmm.
It is not like you can decide, because you could use that money for many other things. After all, you work. That's your money. You should decide if you want to burn them, if you want to give it to a private fund, or then at that point, if you think that the government can do a better job than other options, you give it to the government. At that point, it's your choice. You have no choice. You pretty much impose that. So I think we should have the chance to opt out to all of these programs if we want to. And of course, then we need to take care of ourselves. For example, I don't have Social Security. I don't have anything because I have nothing. Okay, so that's my story. I eat what I eat, and that's my problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't ask anything from the government. I don't demand anything from the government.
You're still a young man, though. You're about, 45 or so?
I'm 46 now,
okay,
almost
46.
in June.
Okay.
But my point is, it's our choice. Of course, I don't work for a company, so I don't have Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's my point. And I don't collect Social Security because I don't get paid. Guess what? That's pretty nice. I like that. I live with love and wine.
Love and wine will
my
keep
point
you.
is, it's very sad that we've been pretty much taking over, not just the last few years with Obama or Bush. It didn't happen in the last at least 90 years.
Yes.
All started with the creation of the private Federal Reserve 100 years
Yes.
ago. And of course, from then we have all these big new deals, like the Social Security. That was the first real imposition of tyranny on the American people.
Sure, they make you do it. There isn't a choice except, in some cases here, like in my case, I work for a municipality, and we had the choice to go Social Security or private. I went private with my stuff.
Oh,
Now,
wow, I didn't know that. That's great. I mean, you have at least that choice.
Yeah.
Because for us, for example, normally many people, they don't have the choice. They just get the money.
You-
So, the sad thing, I don't even consider that welfare, because Social Security is the money that you're being robbed by the government. And
Yes.
by the way, they already used this. The fund is already gone. Now it's the worst than the Ponzi scheme. The Ponzi scheme, at least you go there voluntary.
Mhm.
This one, you don't have option. You need to go anyway. So, and at that point, that's so sad, because we should have the choice to get out of that, and it's also the welfare, all these extra costs that go after your paycheck every week or every month. You should not be part of it. And then, of course, I don't think people that have all these, let's say, if you're on welfare, I'm sorry, you cannot keep voting yourself to get more benefits out of me.
Right.
That's what I think.
They've had it for 15 or 20 years. And going back to that whole Social Security thing, when I first hired in, you had a choice. A number of years back, that company was no longer able to provide people with a choice. You had to go into Social Security. I was one of the, I think, fortunate ones to get out and have, this private stash of cash that I contributed to every time I got a paycheck, put in a good amount, so I'm okay. I also, because I've been working since I was 9 years old, have some Social Security coming in, but here's the killer. Now, I opted to take Social Security early, age 62. So I was going to get something like initially $200 a month or something like that, and then it turned out to be like $500 a month. That's how I fund things like this thing that I'm doing tonight. I take from that little Social Security check and spend it on things like this. But the interesting thing of this is that I had coworkers, one in particular who came from the former Soviet Union, Russia specifically. He brought his mother over. She'd never worked a day in her life here, and Social Security was giving her like $1,200 or $1,600 a month. She never did anything. I did. I worked my ass off. I suffered with this work thing. And I've also known of Cubans who came here as refugees, and they put them on Social Security, never worked a goddamn day in their lives here. So it's on our backs, and then they're telling us that Social Security is going dry, that it's in trouble. Well, they took all the money out of the Social Security thing. It wasn't, they went into what they call a general fund, and they spent it, and now we come to the next thing, Luca. We're like $17 trillion in debt, and then there's what they call the unfunded liabilities that are something like $90 trillion. And
and that's part of the plan. They need to destroy the machine, push the reset button, and to create the final thing that was in front. The only thing that was before the creation of global government was America the way it used to be. Even just the last 15 years or 10 years was almost at the end. They needed completely to destroy it. And after this Obamacare, after all this, pretty much the trillions of dollars that they are bleeding us out.
oh God, yes.
Unlimited wars, and that these, endless wars. There is no country in the world.
No, there is no end to it. There is no end to it, Luca. I see it. I stress over it. I feel for our military men and women who are out there. One of the things that disgusts me about these wars, I see George Bush come out. There's a lot of people in the United States apparently still like George Bush. I don't know why anybody would like a fuckhead like this guy. But you see him photographed. I saw a photograph of him with his beautiful American girl in her military uniform, but she's missing a leg. And he's there smiling, and I'm thinking, you motherfucking son of a bitch. You're the reason that she was out there to begin with. You started it. You didn't have a decent plan for anything, you motherfucker. The first thing you did, 9/11, it happened, and you sent everybody off to Afghanistan when these bastards supposedly came from Saudi Arabia. That was part of the deal.
That's for starter, for sure. But more important, we know very well that it was all part of the plan. I mean, Al-Qaeda is a CIA file name, was created in the 70s during the Russian occupation by the CIA. I mean, Osama bin Laden was an asset for the CIA. He was incurred at the hospital of Dubai, I guess, just a few months before. I mean, there are so many things that American people should have the guts to find out and learn, because at that point, it is not more about wars. First of all, we know very well, not even Congress declared war. The last war we went to was World War II. After all this, people need to understand that these are international police action under United Nations control. Our soldiers, our money, they are going to be used for global government. That's what it is about. And let's not forget, it came out publicly, and I think it was 2011, press conference, Bush, there is a script, there is also the video. He admitted it. In Iraq, there were not found any weapons of mass destruction. And no, we did have no any connection with 9/11. So how can you explain that to millions of people that went there to die or to...
They're being used, and they're highly demoralized. Yes. I know that to be a fact. Luca, we've gone past the 1 hour mark, and I'd like to hold you, if you would, hold on for a little bit longer. Before we go on another break, I would love for you to talk about your website, which is Love, Guns, and Freedom. Did I get it right this time?
Yeah, the website itself is lovegunsfreedom.com. And the radio show is called Love, Guns, and Freedom, of course, on K-Talks 1340 and on the web.
And that's when I heard you this last Sunday. You had Sheriff Richard Mack on there, one of the original Oath Keepers. I think he's moved over to another organization now, and you're a member of Oath Keepers, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all are Oath Keepers if we pledge an oath. You know, we don't even need to become a military to be an Oath Keeper. Of course, for people like me that I wasn't born here and I had to really pledge an oath to defend this republic and this constitution, I consider myself an Oath Keeper. But I invite every American that he was blessed to be born here and then never had to take any oath. Take your oath with your family, with your brothers, with your sisters, with your wife, with your neighborhood, your neighbors. Take the oath, and the oath is very simple. We are not going to become slaves, and we're going to become defender of this republic and this Bill of Rights, and we all become Oath Keepers.
Yes, I saw folks take the Oath Keeper pledge in, of all places, Riverton, Wyoming, the same Riverton, Wyoming that's been given to the Indian Nation at this time, if you believe the EPA and the bastards there at the Department of Justice and our queer of a President, Barack Obama. I saw the folks take the oath in that town, and it was very moving. It was very, very moving, and I certainly approve of Oath Keepers. We talked about your website, and I want people to look at it because you have a lot of fascinating things in addition to your music, which is really good, and I've looked at some of your newer stuff that you have there. You also have written a number of ebooks. You have art that you're selling. You have photographs of yourself. It's very interesting, folks. Do take a look at Luca's website, and do listen to his program on KTOX, which is on Sundays, which you can catch right on the same website. He has fascinating people come on the show, and I mean, I was thrilled with what was going on on your program this last Sunday. Definitely worthy of listening to. Luca, we've talked about a lot of the things that are wrong with the United States. We're going to take a break of about 3 minutes or so, and I want you to think about how to straighten all this shit out, and we're going to take a clue from you. And we're back with our friend Gianluca Zanna, who's been thinking about solutions to everything we've been talking about. Are you there, Mr. Zanna?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, wonderful. You know, one of the things about the misuse of the military, I have the deepest and the highest respect for military men and women who are out doing the right thing, protecting this country and all that. But when government misuses those people for dark and evil purposes, they now become murderers. And that is a position that I would not like to be in. And I'm not saying that you guys out there in the armed forces are murderers, but if you're being misused, contemplate this. That the military, in my opinion, is a force for good. That it's to defend the homeland from the enemy. But what happens when government takes the military and uses it as a tool for their own dark, devious ends? And that's why I'm saying, it's a fine line, and I don't like to see things go this way. In any case, I know that our military has been sacrificed by the bastard in the White House, by the bastard that preceded him, and even during the Vietnam War, the same thing happened. It breaks me. It breaks my heart to see men and women come back missing limbs while these motherfuckers in Washington dine, drink, and screw all day long. I don't like it. A lot of these goddamn people in Washington belong on the end of a rope, pulling down on a tree branch trying to save their fucking lives. That's just the way I feel about it. Look up the solutions. What do we do, man?
The solution, first of all, we need to know the truth. Otherwise, if we don't understand who is the enemy, we cannot fix the problem. We cannot address the problem. So, in my opinion, the first problem, the core of the problem to this country, is a private bank in control of the issuing to print money on our behalf, and that's wrong. That's called the Federal Reserve. That is private Federal Reserve. Remember, all these wars happened after the creation of the Federal Reserve. All these welfare programs, all this imposition of the government, take your money, happened after that. Because every time the government now needs money, what do? They print money. And the Federal Reserve print money out of thin air. And what they do, more they print, more they get powerful, and more they keep us in bondage, and more we owe. And that's why the taxes, income tax was created, to pay the debt, just the debt to the Federal Reserve. So until we have education, I think what Thomas Jefferson said, you cannot have a nation if it is ignorance. You must be educated, otherwise you don't know your rights.
Right.
We need to know first of all what's going on. If people just want to think that they're going to get their news from, Fox News or NBC, and that's all you need to do, you're wrong. You're never going to make it. So we need to start to dig information, understand who is the real problem. Like the Federal Reserve is the core, they control all governments, all the administration come and goes. The Federal Reserve is there, made of marble and stone, with their building, controlling and owning this country. Number one. Number two, understand that there is still hope, because different from the rest of the world, in this country, we are the people that we are in the right. Our founders died and fought to give us documents that nowhere else in the world they were ever created. The Bill of Rights, the government by the people for the people, was never created by anywhere else. The fact that we have not given rights, not privileges from the government, never happened anywhere else. So, on paper, we are the lawful. We are the right on our side. We don't need to rewrite or to rebuild. We need just to protect and preserve what we've been given. So, it's up to us now. And all I think we need sometime, more than everything else, we need just some guts. Because after all, we're all going to die one day.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to die maybe of an accident, of a disease, or maybe because of a lead intoxication. Depends. It's only a question of how. But at the end of the day, when you understand that this life is not forever, and your dignity and as a human being, and your pride as an American, and your responsibility for the next generation is more important than your life, you can make a difference. Civil disobedience would be the first thing. Nullification doesn't just start with the state. It starts with the individual. Okay? If I say, no, I will not comply, and I give you an example. You want to come in my property, and let's say the next future they want to start to put meter to wells, like I already know they do in California. Mm-hmm. No, you will not do that. I'm going to give my life if I have to, but you will not get the hand over my well and put a freaking meter and charge me by the gallon. Period. Same thing with guns. You want my guns? You're going to kill me. As simple as that. And I'm not a big shot. I'm a regular guy. I love life. I never, signed for any special training. I'm just a man. But also, as a man, you put me on the corner, as they say, you put a cat on the corner, you're going to find maybe a lion. So watch it. That's the bottom line. So we need to start to get a type of mindset. We are the people in the right. We are not the usurpers. They are the usurpers. They are the tyrants. We are here to have a duty to defend this republic. We've been given all the beautiful things like a Constitution, Bill of Rights that has already been written, already been done, but just defend it. And then we need to start to educate our fellow men and human beings as a neighbors, friends, politicians, people that ignorance, we can fix it. When you're ignorant, I can give you information. If you're a good person, we can take care of that. If you are a corrupted bastard, then, or you are just too stupid to even and to be proud of yourself, to admit that you were wrong, I need to move on and find somebody else. But we still can do a lot of good job. But what you do with your radio, you try to reach people, give them topics, things to think, inform them, and trying to get more critical mass. And hopefully, when we reach more critical mass, we can defy this tyranny without even coming to something would be bloody and terrible.
Oh, I would hope so.
I hope so. Unfortunately, I feel that they are pushing it us. They want that. That's the last resort, and they really want it because they have the time. They would have the opportunity to create all this martial law, all these executive orders that have been piling up for the last 60, 70 years, and now would be really something terrible. By this point, we are in the hands of God. That's what I also think we should believe. If people don't believe in God, that's fine, but there is somebody above us that we should look at and try to find inspiration, because it doesn't end here. It is not just on planet Earth. It is just the battle of good against evil is the first stage. Something that's happening also in our souls. I believe that this battle it's happening here is just the first stage of what really it is battle for your soul. So people want to believe or not, that's fine. But yeah, I think we must find some faith in something. If you believe God, that would be a great start.
Yes, I most definitely do believe in God, and I believe in turning to God during these very desperate moments, and also just to thank God. One of my favorite songs was always Lee Greenwood's God Bless the USA. Luca, I really can't play the song anymore. I like it. It's beautiful. But there's a lyric there where he says, because I live in the USA where I know I'm free, I don't consider that to be true anymore.
I agree.
This thing about the American people being free is a bunch of bullshit at this time. It is.
I agree.
It is nothing.
I wrote a song, "Thank You America." They probably know. I'm also giving out a CD, and the lyrics for me needs to be inspired to get it back, because we are not free anymore.
No.
We live under martial law with National Defense Authorization Act, Patriot Act. We have no rights. We need to think now, admit the truth. We are no more free.
No.
But freedom, we can take it back. All we have to do, we want it. It's 300 million of us. Remove the illegal aliens and the parasites and the zombies. Even we still like 50 million of us. This is our country, and we're going to clean it up from the garbage. That's
absolutely. We do indeed. I think people need to realize that we exist under the yoke of tyranny. We are not free, less free than we have ever been before. And that scenario is going to get worse, I believe, in the coming months. That's why, for me, 2014 is the year. Right after they have their elections, and again, I question the legitimacy of these elections, in November, right after that, Obamacare is going to hit those people who get health care plans that are employer-based. And if they take away from all these people their health care plans through one means or another, you're going to have 100 million or 130 million really pissed off and angry people. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, but men need to take up their responsibilities and understand that their freedoms come from God, and that no one should be able to take that away from them, because if they do, they are nothing more than a managed human resource. And I would say that that's where we're at right now with our government. You got a social security number, which may have been done with good or bad intent, but now that number is being used to track you, manage you like you're some kind of cow or something out in the field. And I don't know what's going to happen in this country, Luca. I don't know if, like in other cases, men will come home one day, find themselves with no option but to pick up their weapons and head off into the mountains and places where they can find refuge and lay in wait to launch a counterattack on a government that has taken the people and enslaved them. Historically, governments love to enslave their people, and historically, people have risen up to get rid of the yoke of oppression. Luca, why don't you give us your website one more time? I think it's lovegunsandfreedom.com, and your show is on KTOX on Sundays at 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Okay, the website is lovegunsfreedom.com without the end. And the other side, people wants to get my music, you can download. I have more than 100 songs out there, published and recorded and ready to go on Amazon or iTunes or wherever. It's Zanna, like my last name, ZANNA.US, no, .com.us, Zanna.us. So these are my two sites. And when you go to my site, lovegunsfreedom.com, you can see also the link for the live show, and more important, you will see the time. It's Sunday, every Sunday, 12 o'clock Mountain Time for 2 hours live on KTOX. And right now I'm also on let's say, conversation with another couple of radios to rebroadcast the signal, one also in Phoenix.
Fantastic, Luke. I want to thank you for spending time with us, and I also want to thank you for the services that you have rendered to this country. You have been a true patriot. If we had 1 million of you, pal, we would not be facing the problems that we're having now. So, Mr. Luca Zanna, thank you for spending time with us. I hope you get better soon. And as I sign off, I want to say, ladies and gentlemen, we are going through a rough time, but we can conquer this, like Luca said, if we stick together, if we make the right decisions and strive to restore the freedoms that are ours. We have tough days ahead, but we also have good, beautiful days ahead. And if you have a bad day, remember, Frankie loves you. See you later.
Secret